Next time, I won't miss, she said with such force. Her father dropped to his knees, and large tears slowly filled his eyes and began to slide down his brown, stubbly cheeks. Come on, girls, let's go, their mother said, guiding Bertine by the shoulders and urging Corinne to stay close behind them. Corinne looked around her beautiful home, the hole in the ceiling, the shattered wall unit, and her father on his knees, crying from rage and frustration with his shirt torn and bloody, with blood still oozing from his busted lip, and knew she would see this place and this man no more. She heard many bad rumors about her father after that day that made her heart hurt. But her mother kept telling them they had started a new life and all those things were behind them now and not to worry. 6 months later, Naomi, Bertine, and Corinne were in the United States and they loved their new home, new friends, and new life. To look at Jill today, you would never guess at her violent beginnings, and she refused to let it cloud her new life. She was a very jubilant, exciting girl that loved life, laughing, ice cream, fast food, tight pants, short, very short, tight skirts, and boys, boys, boys. At 5'10", Corinne was taller than everyone in her class and all her friends. She was what one would call big boned and what she called ghetto fabulous. As she hurried toward her twin pals, she spotted the dark stranger behind them and stopped short, giving them the eye, stretching her eyes wide and looking quickly from the girls to the guy repeatedly. She made it clear she wanted them to turn around and see what was walking behind them. Of course, the girls knew what Jill was trying to say, but could not let on because they had successfully ignored him up until now. They gave her the eye right back, signaling her to shut up. But Jell, in all her loud glory, chose to be her usual self and attempted to walk right past the girls so she could introduce herself to the sexy stranger. She succeeded, however, only in getting abreast of the twins who each grabbed her by an arm and spun her around while hissing with clenched teeth to shut up and keep walking. Rife, observing all this with quite a bit of humor, refused to acknowledge the hijacking of the loud, underdressed girl by her friends, choosing to ignore all the open mouthed stares and catcalls of many of the less ladylike girls standing around the front entrance of the building. Rife held his head high and slowly walked into the school. God, did you see that guy? He was fine, exclaimed Jell and several others when Rife was safely out of earshot. We know he was on our bus, said Net. And you didn't say anything to him, did you? Asked Jell with that if you want something done right, do it yourself all over her face. No, it was embarrassing enough watching all those girls drooling over him. We weren't going to let him think we were some desperate groupies and he was some kind of celebrity, said Vet with disgust. You would say that. You don't talk to anybody anyway, so you don't count, said her friend Chaz, whose real name was Chastity. I do so. And for your information, there is a difference between talking to someone and throwing yourself all over them, so mind your business, countered Vet with a hard roll of her eyes and a twirl of her neck. Chastity got set to round off on Vet when Net cut across her with exasperation. You two couldn't even make it into the building before you got started, could you? She said, giving her sister an admonishing eye. Don't even look at me, Net, for real. I don't want to hear it. And looking at Chastity, she added icily, and I and don't say anything else to me. I'm not in the mood. With a hurt look on her pretty oval face, Chaz looked at Ned and said, I was only playing. Why she got to go real? With Net not knowing what exactly her sister's problem was, she felt it was a good time to change the subject and began telling the other girls about the prank they pulled on their brother. They spent the remainder of the next 15 minutes laughing, talking about Matt, and greeting the other kids they hadn't seen over the summer. Net kept stealing sidelong glances at her sister, who was doing very little talking and wore a small frown on her face. What in the world had come over her so fast? She wondered to herself. However, before she could inquire about her sister's moodiness, the shrill sound of the morning bell pierced the morning air, signaling the beginning of the school day. As the crowd of kids began slowly heading towards the entrance, Vet was scanning the crowd silently. Who you looking for? Asked Jell. That fine guy went in the building a long time ago. I'm looking for my brother, she said matter of factly. Oh, yeah, my future husband, joked Chaz. And you two are going to have to leave my baby alone. How he going to get to this fine institution of knowledge if you two keep slowing him down with your practical jokes? Talk about practical jokes. You and Matt. Now that's a practical joke, laughed Net, with all the other girls joining in. Hmm, I didn't think it was that funny, she said with mock air of hurt. Well, then it looks like the joke's on you, said Vet in such a serious tone and with such a straight face, they all broke out in squeals of laughter. As the girls entered the building, they greeted the security officers and separated, headed toward their own official classes. This was the one part of the morning Vet dreaded. The sickness was back in the pit of her stomach again, and she wished at least one of her friends were in her classroom. She hoped as the day wore on that one of them would be in one of her other classes. Knowing she had no other alternative, after they said their goodbyes and promising to hook back up at lunch, thank goodness they all shared the same lunch period, she began climbing the stairs, heading toward her third floor class. So preoccupied was she on calming down and blocking out all the chatter around her, she didn't hear the sound of heavy footsteps behind her until the person they belonged to collided with her, almost making her fall up the stairs and causing her to drop her book bag. She spun around, ready to give this clumsy oaf a piece of her mind, only to look into the angry face of her brother Matt. What did you do that for? You almost made me fall, you idiot, she snapped. I should have. I'm going to get you, Annette, if it's the last thing I do. Y'all almost made me late, and I couldn't even wear my new sneakers, and I'm going to get you back, he promised, brushing past her on the way upstairs. A slow smile spread across her face as she picked up her belongings and headed in the direction her brother had just gone. Just thinking about her brother's face when he tried to put on his new sneakers made everything seem right again. There were only a few kids still walking in the hallway, and one of them walked into the room Vet realized was the same room she was headed toward. She stood outside the door, took a deep breath, and stepped in. The room was full, and there were only two seats left, way in the back by the window. Vet sighed. This meant she had to walk in front of the whole class and all the way down the aisle